morning, college football fans. It's James Ernest and Mike Goodpaster of the Tri-State Football Weekly. We are excited. We got a great game to cover from last week, the Miami UNLV game, which was phenomenal. Great atmosphere. I look forward to talking all about that. I mean, the result wasn't what I wanted, but it was still a hell of a game. And then we got the previews of the Miami versus Lindenwood, and then the UC versus Kansas. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, a little bit more than we had last week. Mike, how football going?
Football's going good. If you're a Miami Redhawk, 0-3 is not doing real great. But if you're us and you bet Miami plus 3.5, you still won. So you've always got that. I don't know about this Lindenwood Miami. I guess that's what a MAC team does when they want to play a lower level opponent, where the Big Ten teams play MAC teams. And then, of course, we got what looks to be a great matchup between Cincinnati and Kansas, which should probably be a high-scoring game. My only question is the Bearcats' offense really that good, or is it just because the competition has not been that great as of late? So I'm sure you probably want to start, talking about the UNLV Miami game?
Oh, yes. I mean, that was a phenomenal game. It was just so action-packed. There was always something going on. I mean, it definitely shows you why MAC action is so much fun. I know a lot of times people go, well, they don't really have defense, but you don't really have to have defense sometimes. Sometimes it's just fun to go out and see them run up and down the field and make big plays. And in this game, there were some big special teams plays. Miami ran one back for a touchdown. UNLV intercepted one for a touchdown. So there was just so much going on. It was, even though Miami didn't win, it was still a great game.
Yeah, the bad thing here is this, though. I mean, I think Coach Martin brought it up. There was a lot of bad football here by Miami to lose this game. I mean, the Redhawks should have been up 24-3 at halftime. Instead, there's an interception returned, just before half, which kept the Rebels within striking distance. And as Martin said, that pick was really bad football. Then he came out in the second half, and he can't stop them at all. And the big thing here to me was third down. UNLV converted 12 of 17 third downs, a figure that is, similar to what happened in the Rutgers game all over again. The Redhawks, meanwhile, were 1 for 8 on third down offensively, which kind of makes you wonder how they scored as many points as what they could. And the big thing here, James, was Daquan Finn's injury. And, Henry Hassan stepped up and played okay. The thing that stood out to me when I watched this game was early in the third quarter, I think it was, where Miami has the ball and it's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. And the backup quarterback checks out of what was probably a run play to throw a slant, which he missed. The slant was open, but he misses it by like 10 yards. And then he goes to the sideline to Coach Martin, and you could tell Coach Martin was pissed about it because it was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You're the backup quarterback. Know your place, hand the ball off and get the first down. Because to me, that was something that really kind of flipped the momentum of this game, James.
You mentioned that interception. That's also when Finn got hurt. Because, he ended up jumping and getting taken out during that play. It was just a crazy play. But, yeah, that also factored in, obviously. And then right after that, one of the linemen went out a couple plays later. Number, I want to say 72 was taken out. So it felt like back-to-back losses that really hurt the team.
Hassan, you have to be impressed by the last drive, though. And if not for Kenny Tracy's fumble, the backup quarterback would have led Miami to a win there. So the question is there any quarterback controversy here, or is it still Daquan Finn's job?
It's still Finn's job, but it's nice to know that they have Hassan that can, step up. But you're right. It was that fumble because I'm watching it live there and, I'm seeing him run down the field. I'm like, okay, good. He's within field goal range. We got this. They're going to run out the clock. They'll score a field goal, basically what UNLV did, but in reverse. And then when he fumbled, it was like, oh, God.
And then another big play, special teams. It was special at times. And Keith Reynolds just the second time a Miami Redhawk has returned a kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown. The blocking on there was great.
Mhm.
The seams were wide open. That was a big play. And just when you thought, with the backup quarterback in, that the Redhawks were dead, the Redhawks jump up 31-24 halfway through the third quarter.
Mhm. Yeah, it had just a huge moment. It really felt like that was going to change the game and they were going to win the game. And then, yeah, just kind of nickled and dimed, and UNLV got back into it. I mean, you got to give a lot of props to their quarterback, number 10. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, and when you look at it, that UNLV team might be a top 25 team. So it's not a terrible loss, but it still is 0-3. And the Redhawks, that really has no bearing on whether they can win a MAC championship or not. And I think from what we've seen from this team the first 3 weeks, you had basically they were in the game till the fourth quarter against Wisconsin. They were in the game against Rutgers till early in the second half where Rutgers blew them out. But I think Rutgers is a team that will prove to be a lot better than people think. And then this UNLV team, who I think is headed for a 10-win season. I mean, without that bubble, you probably win the game. Now the question is, can they handle Lindenwood? The Lindenwood Lions are 2-2.
Mhm.
Now, I looked up Lindenwood. They got a quarterback who's solid, Nate Glantz, who's 78 for 128 for 5 touchdowns, 2 picks this year. And they're on a 2-game winning streak. And, you know, they edged out Stony Brook 30-27. And that was Nate Glantz had a great performance. He was 20 of 29, tossed 2 touchdown passes. And they've got a running back, Jared Rhodes, who's contributed 200 yards on the ground, which helps to balance the attack a little bit. But, I mean, I just don't see. They're averaging 22.8 points per game against a lot lesser competition. This is a game Miami should win. And
Yeah, I'm not calling them. Exactly. I'm not saying they're Northwestern State and it'll be just like that game against UC, but yeah, they should win pretty dominant.
Yeah. I think this game, if we have to pick it, I would say somewhere in the 38-10 range. I mean, it's going to be a blowout. I don't think they're Northwestern State because I think there's only one team that's Northwestern State, and that's Northwestern State. So I think Northwestern State would probably be a 2-touchdown dog to Anderson High School. So
nice.
But so do you agree, or do you think Lindenwood could pull up the upset?
I agree. I'm started thinking about how you need to try to get Northwestern State on your schedule next year just for the fun of it.
Beat them pretty easy. Oh, we just played a team very similar to them this last week. But all right, the Cincinnati Bearcats will travel to Kansas in what should be a high-scoring game, you would think. Now, Kansas is 3-1. They beat West Virginia 41-10 last Saturday. The Jayhawks ran for 242 yards, 6 yards per carry, and they passed for another 146 with 3 touchdowns in a win. Perhaps the most impressive stat was 0 sacks allowed, considering the Mountaineers came into the game with 12 sacks in their first 3 games. Now the Jayhawks welcome the Bearcats. But this is a game that I think right now the point spread right around Kansas favored by anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5, according to what sportsbook you look at. And Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby, he struggled in the season opener against a good Nebraska team. But last week, he was 15 of 15 for 253 yards and 5 touchdowns. And all that came in the first quarter. Now, we're going to ignore that because they played Northwestern State.
Yeah.
And my question is this: when people look at this, the point spread or the over-under is pretty high on this game. Is this a game that you think is going to be an offensive showcase? Because I think Kansas is going to score at least 30 points. Can Cincinnati, James? Because the level of competition hasn't been great when they've played well, and the level of competition was really good when they struggled.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup between Sorsby and Jalen Daniels. Jalen has had a phenomenal first 4 games. I mean, he's been running the ball. He's been passing the ball. Him and Brendan, when they're looking good, both have done great things. So I agree with you when you were saying it was going to be a high-scoring affair. I think this is definitely going to be more of an offensive game. I think this is going to be in the mid to upper 30s for both teams. I think both teams are going to come out looking good on it. I feel that basically we learned a lot about Kansas last week because prior to the season starting, a lot of people were lumping Kansas and UC and West Virginia and a couple other teams there, Oklahoma State, I think it was, all in the same kind of group. And obviously, Kansas showed that they're much better than West Virginia. So it'd be interesting to see if UC can kind of separate themselves from the rest of the group
and
there.
I think the issue is Jalen Daniels because he comes in. He's had a great career at Kansas. The problem is he's been hurt a lot. He's led them to a lot of upset wins. When he's been playing, they've been a top 20 team before. And you've got two really good running backs in Daniel Hishaw and LaShawn Williams. You've got a terrific wide receiver in Emmanuel Henderson Jr. This is a team that has a lot of weapons. But the thing I'll go back to, what we talked about, was West Virginia came into that game last week with 12 sacks, one of the best numbers in the country. But they got nothing against Kansas. And the thing about Kansas, when you watched them last week against West Virginia, it was a game where they kind of just grinded down West Virginia and wore them out. So this is a team that likes to control the pace of the game. They have a big-time quarterback in Jalen Daniels. I think this is going to be a tough one for UC to get, James.
Oh, it'd be a tough game, but the nice thing is UC has kind of gotten used to that so far this season, other than the Northwestern State game, where the other team has had the time of possession, I believe, in all the other games. The Bowling Green,
but there's a difference between Bowling Green controlling the clock against you. A lot of that was UC would score quick. UC put up 34 points. And Bowling Green didn't have enough explosiveness to really break big plays on UC. So I think it's a lot different if Kansas controls the clock on you. UC can't allow that to happen. They need to saddle up that run game and be successful running the ball here, get some play action going with Sorsby. Because in the end here, the biggest issue is Jalen Daniels better than Sorsby. Kansas's running backs are better. Kansas offensive line's better. Kansas defense is better. I'm going to pick Kansas in this game. I know it's a UC and Miami show. I'll be cheering for UC, but if you're going to go to a sports book and bet this game, I would heavily, warn against taking the Bearcats in 5.5 points here.
Yeah, I was going to say, with them being on the road, that's going to make it a big challenge for them. And it feels like, that the 5.5 won't be enough.
Yeah, so I think we end up with a final score of like 34-20, 34-23. I think Kansas wins the game. Like I said, it gives me no great pleasure to say that. It's just, if we're going to pick the game, we're going to do it accurately here because we don't want anybody to say, oh, Mike and James said we should go bet that game and then lose your ass on it. So UC next week has an even tougher game, though. But they will be at home when they battle the Iowa State Cyclones, who are ranked 14th in the country right now. Are you covering that game, James?
No, because unfortunately it's at noon. I'm trying to figure out a way to get there, but the noon games kind of make things covering a challenge.
Yeah.
Like I had to mortgage the farm to be able to get to that Miami and UNLV game, with it being a noon game. So I love the 3:30, the 7 o'clock. That fits the schedule so much better. And then when they announced noon, I'm like,
and I will say this:
I want to go there
as a little precursor to next week. I think UC has a very good shot to upset Iowa State next week. I think Iowa State is a little bit overrated. I know they struggled with Arkansas State last week. So I think the Iowa State game is a very winnable game for UC if they get through this one unscathed.
So you would give UC a puncher's chance?
We'll see what happens this week. If they play Kansas tough, and it's a 34-24, 34-27 game, I think at home, I think they could beat Iowa State. I think at home they would have beaten Nebraska, but we all know why that happened.
Exactly.
Because of stupidity. Yeah.
Exactly. So it sounds like there's some interesting action coming up this week.
Finally. Usually it's one's on a bye and the other one's playing the Little Sisters of the Poor. And with the Redhawks, you're getting ready to go into a little bit of MAC conference action pretty soon too, because they will go to Northern Illinois next week. And we know Northern Illinois, they're going to hang their hat on. They upset Notre Dame last year. But this Northern Illinois team, they've played a tough schedule. And they beat Holy Cross. Not a big deal. They barely won it. But they played Maryland tough. And Maryland's a very good football team. We just watched Maryland nail one of those nails into the coffin of Luke Fickell at Wisconsin with a big win. And they only beat Northern Iowa 20-9. And then Mississippi State, who has been, one of the surprises of the season, they handled Northern Illinois 38-10. But Northern Illinois has played some tough competition so far. So I think that's going to be a tough opener, especially on the road for the Redhawks.
You mentioned Luke Fickell. Would we want him back?
Over Scott Satterfield? Yeah. The only person you wouldn't want here over Scott Satterfield would probably be like Tommy Tuberville. But right now, Tommy Tuberville's in the process of totally destroying a state right now. So instead of just destroying a city's football team, he's got bigger fish to fry. I also would not want Brian Kelly back either because he's a scumbag. But Luke Fickell, why wouldn't you take him back? Luke Fickell would probably love to get the hell out of Wisconsin right now because there's probably all kind of for sale signs in his yard right now. It's one thing to lose to Maryland. It's another thing to get your ass kicked by Maryland at home. And remember, when we watched them play, they barely got by Miami that first week, and they got destroyed by Alabama. And it's not like Bama's got Nick Saban or ranked in the top 5. So, yeah, off his going into third year, I don't think he's going to last much longer unless he gets really hot there this year and wins out or only loses 1 or 2 more games. Because I think he's found out that it is much tougher to be the head football coach at Wisconsin than it is Cincinnati. And the other thing is, Cincinnati is a Big 12 team. I don't know why he left, to tell you the truth, James. He was an Ohio guy. He was at Ohio State before, and he failed to go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, if you look at the top programs in the Big 10, now at the time he took the job, maybe it's top 5. But right now, when you look at everything that has been done with the Big 10, you've got Oregon, you got Penn State, you got Ohio State, you got Indiana, you got Michigan. Right there is probably your top 5 teams. Wisconsin's not in that. And if you go back a few years, the Pac-12's coming. You don't know Indiana's going to turn out to be that good. But why do you want to go to Wisconsin? To me, it was a bad move by him. He could have stayed at UC with the Big 12. They were coming off a college football playoff berth. To me, he just made a royal mistake. And I know maybe money was the issue. But if you're coming to the Big 12 a year or 2 later, you could probably get a little bit more money.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it was a bad decision as well. But, I'm hoping that he might come back home.
So you didn't even say anything. I got a Tampa Bay Bandits shirt on from the original USFL. The shirt's like 40 years old.
Oh, wow.
See, you want that.
Nice. Yeah, I just saw that. I didn't see the Bandits part. I just saw Tampa, and I'm like, why has he got a Buccaneers shirt on? Because of the red.
No, it's the Tampa Bay Bandits. That was Bandit ball back in the day. Remember, it was owned by John Bassett, and I believe Burt Reynolds had something to do with that team also.
Nice. Well, that's pretty cool.
It is what it is. It's a little faded now.
Well, yeah, after 40 freaking years, the shirt's almost as old as I am.
Dang. You're young.
So anyway, for James, Ernest, and
wait a second, that's a horrible ending. You just have the end of a sentence and you go, all right, for James Ernest. Come on, we're going to be back next week too.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, you're right. We're going to be back next week. We're going to be talking the results of the Kansas game. We're going to be previewing that Iowa State game. We're going to be talking the results of the Lindenwood game and
Lindenwood.
previewing the.
You keep leaving out that D.
Well,
Don't be
who cares?
disrespectful. They're not Northwestern State. They've already won 2 games. Northwestern State's not winning 2 games in the next decade.
And then previewing that Northern Illinois game. So there is a lot of great football for here at Tri-State
And James,
Football
remember
Weekly.
this. They could also follow us at Grueling Truth on X.
Exactly.
And you also can like and subscribe our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Don't worry, guys. We'll have James under control and doing this like a true professional in another week or 2.
Sounds like a plan. I look forward to it. Y'all
oh my God, that's how you're going to end it now? Y'all have a good one?
Okay, I thought I was already done the ending. Okay.
All right, just say for James, Ernest, and Mike Goodpaster.
Yep. For James, Ernest, and Mike Goodpaster, this has been Tri-State Football Week.